What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today is the turn of the final Legendary 5Ds deck profile, and that is going to be Akiza's Black Rose Dragon. Now, massive shout out to Brady Volkman. He actually ended up getting 6th place at a Las Vegas Regional only a couple of weeks ago, which is absolutely insane, but it really did inspire some changes to this profile. Now, quite like the Blackwing and the Synchro profile, I wanted to end it with a combo. Now, I'm not going to end it with a combo with this particular build. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the description down below to the original profile from Brady. And in that profile, there's also the 1-card combo, which I think is absolutely amazing. So there's no point in me repeating that combo. I think you should definitely go and check that out. And I'll talk you through my personal choices within this deck and why I chose to stick with certain cards and what cards I would want to adapt and kind of play with a little bit more to get the best out of this deck. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now, of the 3 decks in Legendary 5Ds, this is probably the one that has the most outside involvement. And what I mean by that is, because it got the most recent updated support in Doom of Dimensions, that's when you're going to need to pick those cards up, because a lot of them are actually really, really important in this deck, and you'll see that as I go through the profile. Whereas Synchrons, you pretty much get everything you need to. You're kind of getting a more of an old school and old-fashioned style Black Rose deck straight out of the box. But if you want to modernize it and update it, you are going to need to get the Doom of Dimension cards, and I'll take you through those as we go. But the cards that are included straight away will be your ideal starter, being the Rox Rose Dragon. This is absolutely insane. You get 3 of these just in one Legendary 5Ds deck, but this is the card you're going to get to tick everything off. Now, the card that you're going to be able to search directly out of the deck that will come from the Legendary 5Ds will be the Basil Rose Shoot. So on normal or special, you get to add a card that specifically mentions Black Rose Dragon from the deck to the hand except itself. And then while this card is in the graveyard, if a face-up Rose Dragon monster or monsters or a plant Synchro monsters you control is destroyed by battle or occurrence card effect, you get to add this card back from the grave to the hand. You can search out the Basil Rose Shoot, so you can actually special summon a Rose Dragon monster from the hand or grave in defense position. And if this set card is destroyed, you get to target one of your Black Rose Dragons or a monster that mentions it in the text that is banished or in the graveyard and special summon it. The idea behind the Basil Rose Shoot is this is going to be your extender, so that if your Rox Rose does get interacted with, or if it doesn't get interacted with and you've already got extenders, you have a little bit more to push further forward and extend your combo play. Now, the most important card, alongside Bramble Rose and Rage Rose Witch, but the most important main deck card you're going to want to get your hands on from Doom of Dimensions that is an ultra rare is going to be your Black Rose Garden. This is the other card that could be searched out from the Rox Rose Dragon, but this card is just so incredibly important. It's a must-have if you want to be playing Black Rose. No matter whether you are playing Genesis version of Black Rose or modernized version of Black Rose, this card is so important. So when it's activated, you get to add a Rose Dragon monster from the deck or grave to the hand. So that's going to increase your consistency to get access to the Rox Rose Dragon by 2, because you'll increase it like 2 times, is what I'm trying to mean before there's any complications. But it basically turns your access to Rox Rose Dragon into 6, but then it also increases your consistency to get you into your Red Rose Dragon or your White Rose Dragon, which will help you be your extenders or move you into your Synchro plays. On top of that as well, all face-up monsters on the field become plant, and if it is destroyed, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each plant monster in your grave and banishment. Then if it was destroyed by the effect of Black Rose Dragon, you inflict 2400 damage to your opponent. So through plays and through combos, you're actually very easily able to access your Black Rose Dragon, because Bramble Rose Dragon can actually access it for you that way. There are other ways of being able to hard summon out your Black Rose Dragon. And the benefit of something like that, when you combo it off with your Rage Rose Witch, is that all of your monsters become plant, and all of your monsters are plant because of Black Rose Garden. But then Rage Rose Witch means that all of your plant monsters can't be destroyed by card effect. So when you summon out Black Rose Dragon, it will destroy everything else on the field except plant monsters, or on your side of the field that is, and everything is going to be plant monsters. So they're all protected, which is really, really cool. Then for the other Rose Dragons, we are playing 3 Red Rose Dragons. Again, you get 3 of this in the Legendary 5Ds deck. So if it is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you get to special summon a Rose Dragon monster from the hand or deck. So again, it's increasing your consistency to get to Rox Rose Dragon. The only downside with the Red Rose is it needs you to have that extender of a non-tuner level 4, being your White Rose Dragon, which I'll talk about in a second. It also has an additional effect that if it is sent for a Synchro summon of a Black Rose or a Plant Synchro, you get to add a Frozen Rose or a Blooming of the Darkest Rose from the deck to the hand. Now, the card that I chose to go for is the Frozen Rose. You don't have to play this. If you want to find more space, you can do. But what Frozen Rose gives you is it lets you send a face-up monster you control to the grave, and then you apply the effects dependent on the type. If it's a plant, during the end phase, you draw 2, discard 1, so it just increases your hand side, because what that's going to allow you to do is once you've gone through all your combo pieces, your Frozen Rose will draw you into hand traps, hopefully. Or if it's a non-plant, you get to add a level 4 or lower plant monster from the deck to the hand straight away. So it's not during the end phase, you just be able to trigger off something like the Red Rose Dragon, send it to the graveyard, grab your plant monster, and then build on from there. The final Rose Dragon monster is 2 White Rose Dragon. I don't mind the idea of playing 3 of this. It's something that I still want to test out. It's kind of one of the ones that it lets you extend or continue to play if your normal summon is negated. Now, you normal summon down Red Rose Dragon, it's not really going to be interactive with. You special summon down White Rose, happy days, go into a level 7 Synchro, and then start triggering off their graveyard effect, which is absolutely fine. It's also a contingency that if your Rox Rose gets interacted with, like Impermed or Veiled or anything like that, you summon down the White Rose, and then you start to build on from there. So it does give you a nice little bit of extension. It's the one that I don't really want to be using as a starter. So when this card is normal summoned specifically, you get to special summon a Rose monster from the, Rose Dragon to be specific, from your hand or grave except itself. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the benefit of that and the downside of it is, if I normal summon it and it doesn't get interacted with, great. I've got my Red Rose or I've got my Rox Rose. I'm in a good position. If it does get interacted with, that's when I'm kind of like, I need to have an extender to play on. So I don't want to use this as my normal summon. You want to use it for its secondary effects. So if you try a Dragon Tuner or a Plant Tuner, you get special on this card from the hand. Absolutely fine. Free extender, love that. If this card is sent to the grave as Synchro material, you get to send a level 4 or higher plant from the deck to the grave. Again, that can be quite useful if you're playing other plant monsters in the deck, no worries whatsoever. But the idea is you kind of want to use this as your extender to hit the field rather than your starter. Then for the other plant monsters, I'm on 3 Vengeful Witch with the 2 Twilight Knights. So put those there. So the Vengeful Witch, these are the other 2 cards that came in Doom of Dimensions. Vengeful Witch super rare, should be relatively easy to pick up, and then the Twilight is a common, so you should be able to get them for free from either the local common box or of course from a friend. You might even be able to get Vengeful Witch for free as well from a friend. So you can control Black Rose Dragon or a monster that mentions it, or a plant Synchro monster, you get special on this card from the hand. If it is sent to the graveyard and a Synchro monster is on the field, you discard a card to special summon a plant monster with 15 or less defense from the deck. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros, which is absolutely fine, because what that will then do is summon out your Twilight Rose Black Knight. And then while you control a Synchro monster, plant monster you control gain 1,000 attack. You can use each of the following effects once per turn. If it is normal or special, you get to special summon a Black Rose monster or a level 4 or lower plant monster from the grave, but you negate its effect. So the Vengeful Witch, ideally, special summons out your Twilight, and your Twilight then revives the Vengeful Witch. You got a level 3 tuner and a level 4 non-tuner. That is straight away a level 7. So if you want to go Black Rose, happy days. If you want to go Bramble Rose, you can also do that. Then I'm playing 3 Rose Princess. So Rose Princess is a level 3 that if only your opponent controls a monster, you get to special on this card from the hand. So it acts as that extender that you might need if one of your Rox Rose gets interacted with, because then you've got that level 4 tuner and then be able to push on from there. So when you're trying to combo off your Rose, where are we? Your Rose Princess with your Rox Rose Dragon, that's kind of like the best pairing you can get away with. If only your opponent tries one, just special summon it, and if it's special summoned this way, you can also treat it as a tuner. So it also gives you that balance that if your Red Rose gets interacted with, not that it does on normal summon, but there are ways that if you're able to extend or you don't extend, you can do so. On top of that as well, what you're going to be using it more times than not for is you can discard this card from the hand to add a White Rose Cluster from the deck to the hand. So we are going to be playing the 1 White Rose Cluster. Now you can play 3 of this, 2 of this, however you want to, and you mess around with the ratios a little bit more. This one disrespects Draw Unlock Bird a little bit more, because you discard it, and then your opponent goes, cool, Droll. You're like, that's annoying. So you'd play more White Rose if you are worried about Droll, but if you're not worried about Droll, then you go for the 3 roses. The benefit of this is you put in a plant monster in the graveyard, which can help you out later on down the line. But again, access to your White Rose field spells. If you control no monsters, you get special on a Rose monster or a plant monster from the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then during your draw phase, before you draw, you get to declare a card type, monster, spell, or trap. Reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is the declared card type, you apply the following effect for the rest of the turn. Level 7 or higher Synchros you control gain 1,000 attack. So the idea is that you go first, you play this card, lets you special summon out a monster, so discard Rose Princess, grab you this, because obviously if you're going first, your opponent doesn't control a monster. Special summon down a monster, and then straight away, your opponent is then forced, so you special summon down Rox Rose, they're then forced to interact with it, that baits out another hand trap. Then you still have your normal summon, or you've got your extension place of your White Rose Dragon, and you can build your plays further and further and further. Then you play for your opponent's turn, it comes back to you, you do the draw phase. The majority of cards we're playing are monsters, so you declare monster unless you know exactly what your top card is, which you can do with some of Akiza's old-fashioned or good old-fashioned plant monsters. Declare it, get it right, and then all of your plant monsters which are any other type because you'll still keep your Black Rose Garden in play, will then gain 1,000 attacks. So straight away your Black Rose Dragon becomes a base of 3,400. So really, really important. And then that could be the game changer. Then for the other generic kind of plant monsters I am playing is the one Cyclos, the Circular Sprite with the Fairy Ant. So these are obviously directly from Bryant's profile. These were cards that I was looking at, and it wasn't until Brian played them and then kind of went through it a little bit more. I was like, actually, this is more effective because of the Rage Rose Witch. So this one got a reprint in Mega Pack 2025. Unfortunately, this one didn't. This is probably going to be a little bit harder to get hold of. You actually get the Rose Princess and the White Rose Cloister in the deck, so you're covered on those already. But the idea is, if this card is normal or special, you discard a card to add an insect or plant tuner from the deck to the hand, except itself. If an insect or plant synchro monster is specialed while this card is in the grave, except during damage step, you special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. The benefit of that one is on the summon, you then get access to your Fairy Ant. And then if an insect or plant monster is in either graveyard, which it will do by that particular point in time, you get to special summon this card from the hand. You can only special summon it once per turn, and if you control would be used as a synchro material for an insect or plant, you can treat it as a non-tuner. So even if you have 2 tuners here, this can still make a level 7 plant, which is very important. Then for the generic cards, we're playing the one Glart Bulb, so just the generic, send it off of the Rage Rose Witch, or if you want to and you can find the space for it, Foolish Burial. I've decided to go with, like, I say 12 hand traps, but like 12 non-engine spaces. So you could find a Foolish Burial, put that in. If you wanted to cut down White Rose or the Basil Rose Shoot down by 1, you can go through that way. The one Spore, the Fairy Seed, again, shout out to Blake on this one, Brady, sorry, on this one. But the idea is that this gives you the ability as an upgrade to the original Spore. So he made a very valid point on this one. So if this card is special, you get to count the number of monsters you control and have this card gain up to that many levels. And if you control an Ancient Fairy Dragon or a Light Monster, Beast, Plant, or Fairy, and this card is in the grave, you get to special summon it. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros, which is absolutely fine. So the fact of the matter is, it's not like Spore where it's like once per duel, but it's also the benefit of being able to manipulate its level really does open up the door for some more Synchro plays. And the benefit of that one is it's not like exactly to the number of monsters you control, but it's up to, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. And then I've still got the one Revolution Synchron. I'm still highly tempted to either put tuning in here to get this more consistently or play more copies of it. The benefit of this one is if I interacted on a level 4 non-tuner, I then have the ability to synchro into a Black Rose Dragon, completely clears the field off. It's just down to a personal choice. You might want to consider that it's something a little bit more, because a lot of your cards are tuners, it's something that will become a little bit less effective. So it's one of the cards that, again, if you want to take this out, and that's where your Foolish Burial comes in, that is an option for you. I feel that the more and more I think about it, adding in a Foolish Burial would probably be a bit more beneficial to keep a card like this in, because then even if you don't synchro from the hand, you can still Foolish Burial with it, and it still gives you that ability that if your Black Rose nukes the field but stays on the field because you've also had your Black Rose Garden in play, you can then Revolution Synchron, bring it back, and then go into a Crystal Wing, and what you're doing is you're insulating yourself from Nibiru as early as you possibly can. And then for the non-engine cards, I've gone with Droll, Fuelos, Ash, and then just to cover myself if we do end up going second is Free Forbidden Droplet. Because it's not really that bad to have some card in your graveyard, because you do play cards that revive from the grave and everything else in between. So it does give you a little bit more nicer flexibility to play around with. But ultimately, again, I feel that Foolish Burial is something that I want to find the space to put this in here, just because it gives you that little edge. But that's something that I need to do a little bit more testing with. I've bounced back and forth between this deck being a Genesis deck and then being like a competitive Modern deck, and I'm kind of stuck in the middle of it. It's like very small changes can make this a Genesis deck. Like I've already done a Genesis profile on the channel. There's a couple of cards that aren't really going to cost you huge amounts of points. It gives you a bit more flexibility. It's just finding the right balance for something you want to go for. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, of course, 2 Black Rose Dragon. I'm undecided on the artworks on this one. I actually really like the chibi artwork, but then the original is also amazing. And then the other one that I'm probably a bigger fan of than the original art is the Black Rose Dragon. I say Black Rose Dragon, they're all Black Rose Dragons. But I love this one just because of the details in the background and just how much more of Black Rose we see. So you don't play 3 Black Rose, I'm just comparing the artworks of them. I don't know. I probably like the idea of playing 2 matching Black Rose Dragons, but then it's also kind of funny as well to play different Black Rose Dragons. So I don't know, but these are the 2 that I've gone with, like OG and then the brand new chibi artwork. Then my new favourite Black Rose monster is 2 Bramble Rose Dragon. I love this card so much. Such a good card, looks absolutely amazing. It just shows like Black Rose more aggressive, which is what I love about it. The only downside is like, it's a plant. I'm like, I'd like it to have been the same as original Black Rose, but that doesn't make really any difference because you turn all your monsters into plants anyway. It does require a plant tuner, which is also quite nice because it means it's not generically accessible like Black Rose. Each time your opponent activates a monster effect, you inflict 600 damage to your opponent. And if you do, all monsters your opponent controls lose 600 attack. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, tribute this card to special summon a Black Rose Dragon from the extra deck, and it is treated as a Synchro summon. You can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a level 4 or lower plant tuner from the grave, so it gives you a little bit more versatility. The fact of the matter is, it's a burn card. Not that I'm like kind of promoting burn in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I don't like the win cons to be burn damage. But what I love about this is the fact that it can tag out into a Black Rose. So it gives you the ability to turn Black Rose into a quick effect Dark Hole during your opponent's turn, which is insane. Then my second favourite card of the new ones is the Rage Rose Witch. This card's insane. I absolutely love this one. So plant monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. So when you're using a card that turns everything into plants, it makes it awkward for your opponent. But then the fact that when you combo that off with Rage Rose Witch, it's like, yeah, they can't be destroyed by card effect. You insulate against your own Black Rose Dragon, which I really like. Support like this, I think is amazing, because what it does is it adds another layer, not so much to address the downsides, because I actually think the Black Rose destroying the entire field was a fair card to have. Like, if it was only one side, it'd be a little bit unbalanced. But then it kind of makes Rage Rose Witch, it makes you work for that extra protection, and then you turn Black Rose Dragon from being a really good card into an insanely good card, which I love. If that wasn't enough, this card has so much more to it. If it's Synchro summons, you get to send up to one plant monster each from the deck and extra deck to the graveyard. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn state Synchros, absolutely fine. And if this card or cards on the field is destroyed by card effect while this card's in the graveyard, you get to special summon this card, so it brings itself back, which is really cool. The classic Garden Rose Maiden, and again, shout out on this one for the Lyricless Lily Reaper. This is just another alternative to Black Rose Garden Rose Maiden. Now, in the previous profile, I was playing 2 Garden Rose because I was actually summoning it to get Black Garden. I'm not doing that now because, again, when you look at Brady's profile, it just made so much logical sense. So what I like about the Lily Reaper is less so its actual on-summon effect or anything else, but this is another target you will send with your Rage Rose Witch. That while this card is in the graveyard, except during damage state, if your opponent takes any effect damage, so Bramble Rose, Black Rose off of the back of the Black Rose Garden, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to then non-target send a monster on the field to the grave with the attack less than or equal to the difference in your life points. Now, there's ways where you will burn your opponent's life points down, great success. Might be ways where your opponent will deal you damage first. So if you go like game like 2 or 3 and you've gone back and forth with a bit of a grind and they've taken your life points down, this can be a bit of a game changer. Generic FA Dawn Dragstar, backed up by the Paralysis and Queen of the Thorn. So again, shout out to Brady on this one. He pulled this card out and I was like, oh, I know what you're doing. I don't want to agree with it, but it makes so much sense. So each player must pay 1,000 life points, so it is a cost to pay it, to normal or special summon a non-plant type monster from the hand. So when you are burning your opponent off the back of Black Rose Garden, Bramble Rose into Black Rose, everything else in between, this card then just adds another ticking clock. You don't mind paying a little bit of life points here and there to kind of build your dragons, but once you're kind of relying on your plants, it really makes it incredibly awkward for your opponent. On top of that as well, when you've got your Paralysis, it gains 400 attack each for your plant monsters you control except this card. During the main phase, you get to special summon a level 5 or higher plant from the hand or grave in defense position. So that is how you're going to be able to utilize, and you'll see it in the combo on Brady's video, Rage Rose Witch coming back to the back from the grave, which is insane. I've got the one Cully Bell. I just like it as a generic dragon that lets you discard a card to specifically target a card. So with Black Rose, you nuke the entire field, great. But if I actually just want to target one particular card and get that out of the way because that's stopping me getting to Black Rose or anything else in between, then Cully Bell can help me do that. Crystal Wing, and then you've got your defensive option of your Jinjurishi, and then you've got your aggressive option of your Psychic End Punisher. Now, obviously, Psychic End Punisher is going to be better when your life points are lower, but it's one of the ones where you can make Jinjurishi going first, put some pressure on your opponent, and then going second, your Psychic End Punisher kind of is the final nail in the coffin. Completely flexible. I do like the idea, the thought process behind Brady's profile as well really did make a lot of sense. And I was going to update this normally, and I'd be like, hey guys, look, I know you lot have been absolutely screaming at me to finally get one. I was like, yay! I finally bought a Rose Fairy. So in Genesis, you actually play Rose Fairy, which is really, really funny. Try and find, I think I've got the other cards here actually. So you play Rose Fairy, and you play, bear with me 2 seconds. You play Roddy Rose Witch and her counterpart sister, which I think is in here. Ruddy Rose, and Witch of the Black Forest. So you play these as a free, not free of, but you play like Lone Fire Blossom, gets you into the Ruddy Rose Witch, works you into Witch of the Black Rose. Witch of the Black Rose, then like you put this to the top of that, reveal this card, and then you add it to the hand. And if it's added to the hand, you get a special summon it, and then straight away you got a level 4 tuner, level 3 non-tuner. So a lot of people was like, why don't you play Rose Fairy? And I was like, I don't own one yet. And I was hoping it was going to be in Legendary 5Ds, but sadly it wasn't. Anyway, that is it for the Black Rose deck. It's probably, I mean, in the previous version, I played the Illusion package with the Azamina package, which was absolutely fine. No issues with that whatsoever. But then I kind of like this idea that Brady's gone for, because it does keep it more pure. It does feel more of an Akiza deck than like an Akiza with outside influence, which I think is absolutely fine. And I really do enjoy it. I like Black Rose. I'm still, like I said, I'm torn between, do I want to make this a Genesis profile, like a Genesis deck, or do I want to keep it as a, do I want to try and adapt it and make it more of a modern deck? I like where Brady was going with it. I think he worked really, really well. Obviously, congratulations to them being able to get 6th place. Like I said, I'm going to put a link to the profile in the description down below so you can hear all of their matchups, all of the reasonings behind it, and then see the combo as well. So you've got everything you need in a nice, good video. But sometimes, you know, when I do the research behind decks just to see what people are playing and what might update them and change them and everything else like that and give me inspiration, credit where credit is due. When I find a video like that, I'm obviously going to give credit to the adaptations that I make to the deck, because that's influence of the game. That's how the game works. Like, a lot of people will make profiles from scratch, absolutely fine, massively creative, but then it takes an outside influence to be like, have you thought about this card that you didn't even know existed? Like, I didn't even know about Queen of Thorns, and I saw that in Brady's video. I was like, oh, damn, that works so well. Hence, leading to the changes. Anyway, massive shout out, link in the description down below will give you everything you need to for that video as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.